Hello everyone. Welcome to the lecture for the course Applied Thermodynamics. We'll continue with the steam generators, and under that we will see today boiler accessories. Myself Sumit Baldia, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Sharad Institute of Technology College of Engineering, Hyderabad. Today we will cover the following points of the boiler accessories like feed pumps, injector, economizer, air preheater, superheater, steam separator and steam trap. Boiler accessories are mounted on the boiler to increase its efficiency. These units are optional on an efficient boiler. There are several types of boiler accessories available. From that we will see first one, feed pumps. The feed pump is a pump which is used to deliver feed water to the boiler. It is desirable that the quantity of water supplied should be at least equal to that evaporated and supplied to the engine. Two types of pumps which are commonly used as feed pumps are reciprocating pump and rotary pump. The reciprocating pump consists of a pump cylinder and a piston. Inside the cylinder reciprocates a piston which displaces water. The reciprocating pump may be of two types. First one is single acting type and second one double acting pump. In a single acting pump, the water is displaced by one side of the piston only, and so the water is discharged in alternate strokes. In the double acting pump, the water is discharged in each stroke of the piston, since the water is displaced by both the sides of the piston. The reciprocating feed pumps are continuously run by steam from the same boiler to which water is to be fed. Here the figure shows a duplex direct acting steam pump. Here are two single steam cylinders placed side by side. Slide valves distribute the steam in each cylinder. The slide valve in each cylinder steam chest is operated by a crosshead on the piston rod of the opposite cylinder through an arrangement of rods and rocker arms are used. The feed pump is generally double acting. On each side of the pump, plunger there are suction and discharge valves. Here the suction valves and here the discharge or delivery valves are there. The pumps work alternatively and consequently continuous flow of water is maintained. Double feed pump is commonly employed for medium size boilers. Rotary feed pumps are of centrifugal type and are commonly run either by a small steam turbine or by an electric motor. A rotary pump consists of a casing and a rotating element known as impeller which is fitted over a shaft. It utilizes the centrifugal force of the rotating impeller for pumping the liquid from one place to the other. So that is about the feed pump. That may be single acting pump or double acting pump which is used or commonly used in the medium size boilers. Next is injector. The function of an injector is to feed water into the boiler. It is commonly employed for vertical and locomotive boilers. and does not find its application in large capacity, high pressure boilers. It is also used where the space is not available for the installation of a feed pump. In an injector, the water is delivered to the boiler by steam pressure. The kinetic energy of steam is used to increase the pressure and velocity of the feed water. Here the figure shows an injector. It consists of a spindle P, steam cone S, a combining cone K, a delivery cone D, and a handle H with a pointer T. The spindle's upper end is provided with a handle while the lower end serves the purpose of a valve. The pointer on the handle indicates the shut and open position of the valve. The lower part of the spindle has a screw which works in a nut which is integral part of the steam cone. The key E checks the rotation of steam cone. With the rotation of handle, steam cone moves up and down, and consequently the valve controls the steam flow through the steam cone. The steam enters through a steam pipe A, while the feed water enters through water pipe B. The flow of water is also regulated due to sliding motion of the steam cone by its lower end. The water mixes with the steam at the combining cone where it is condensed. The mixture then passes through the delivery cone, and there its kinetic energy is converted into pressure energy. The final pressure must be greater than the steam pressure of boiler, otherwise water will not enter into the boiler. The excess water finds its way through the overflow pipe C. There are certain advantages of injectors such as low initial cost, simplicity, compactness, absence of dynamic parts, thermal efficiency is very high, around about 99%, ease of operation. Disadvantages: pumping efficiency is very low, it cannot force very hot water, irregularity of operation under extreme variation in steam pressure. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of this injector. Next accessory is known as economizer. An economizer is a device in which the waste heat of the flue gas is utilized for heating the feed water. Again I am repeating, an economizer is, the name implies the economy of the boiler, is a device in which the waste heat of the flue gases is utilized for heating up the feed water. Economizer are of two types, independent type and integral type. Former is installed in chamber apart from the boiler setting. The chamber is situated at the passage of the flow of the flue gases from the boiler or boiler to the chimney. Latter is the part of the boiler heating surface and is installed within the boiler setting. Here the figure shows an independent type vertical tube economizer, which is called as an Green's economizer. It is employed for boilers of medium pressure range up to 25 bar. It consists of large number of vertical cast iron tubes. These are vertical tubes, cast iron, P, we are calling it P, which are connected with two horizontal pipes, one at the top and other at the bottom. So A is the bottom pipe through which the feed water is pumped into the economizer. The water comes into the top pipe B from the bottom pipe and finally flows to the boiler. The flue gases move around the pipes in the direction opposite to the flow of water. Consequently, heat transfer through the surfaces of the pipes takes place and water thereby heated. A blow-off cock is provided at the back end of vertical pipes to remove sediments deposited in the bottom boxes. The soot of the flue gases which gets deposited on the pipes reduces the efficiency of the economizer. To prevent the soot deposit, the scrapers S, so these are scrapers, move up and down to keep the external surface of pipe clean for better heat transfer. Bypass arrangement enables to isolate or include the economizer in the path of flue gases. The use of an economizer entails the following advantages. In that first one, the temperature range between various parts of boiler is reduced, which results in reduction of stresses due to unequal expansion. If the boiler is fed with cold water, it may result in chilling the boiler metal. Hot feed water checks it. Evaporative capacity of the boiler is increased. Overall efficiency of the plant is increased by using the economizer. So that's why it is called as an economizer, economy increasing. Next is air preheater. The function of air preheater is to increase the temperature of air before it enters the furnace. It is generally placed after the economizer. So the flue gases passes through the economizer and then to the air preheater. And air preheater consists of plates of or tubes with hot gases on one side and air on the other side. So here flue gases here in, hot gases in, flue gases out here, air in and heated air out. The degree of preheating depends upon type of fuel burning equipment and rating at which boiler and furnace are operated. There are three types of air preheaters are available. First one is tubular type, plate type and storage type. Now this figure shows a tubular type air preheater. After leaving the boiler or economizer, the gaseous products of combustion travel through the inside of tubes of air preheater in the direction opposite to the air travel and transfer some of their heat to the air to be supplied to the furnace. Thus the air gets initially heated before being supplied to the furnace. These gases reverse their direction near the bottom of the air heater and a soot hopper is fitted to the bottom of air heater casing to collect soot. Okay, so that is the tubular type air preheater. In the plate type air preheater, the air absorbs heat from the hot gases being swept through the heater at high velocity on the opposite side of the plate. Okay, so that is about the air preheater. Next is superheater. The function of a superheater is to increase the temperature of the steam above its saturation point. The superheater is a very important accessory of a boiler and can be used both on fire tube and water tube boilers. The small boilers are not commonly provided with a superheater. There are lots of advantages of superheated steam. First one, steam consumption of engine or turbine is reduced. Losses due to condensation in the cylinders and the steam pipes are reduced. Erosion of turbine blade is eliminated. Efficiency of steam plant is increased. Superheaters are located in the path of the furnace gases so that heat is recovered by the superheater from the hot gases. There are typically two types of superheaters available. First one is convective superheater and second one is radiant superheater. Convective superheater makes use of heat in flue gases, whereas radiant superheater is placed in the furnace and wall tubes receives heat from the burning fuel through radiant process. The radiant type of superheater is generally used where a high amount of superheat temperature is required. So here figure shows Sugden's superheater installed in Lancashire boiler. It consists of two steel headers to which are attached solid U-driven tubes of steel tubes. These tubes are arranged in groups of 4 and one pair of header generally carries 10 of these groups or total of 40 tubes. The steam from the boiler enters and leaves the headers as shown by the arrows. Figure also shows how the steam pipes may be arranged so as to pass the steam through the superheater or direct to the main steam pipe. When the steam is taken from the boiler direct to the main steam pipe, the valves V1 and V2 are closed and V3 is opened. When the steam passes through the superheater, that is when the superheater is in action, the valve V3 is closed. The valve V1 and V2 are opened. The path of the gases is controlled by the damper, which is operated by the hand wheel. Okay, so that is about superheater. Next is steam separator. The steam available from a boiler may be either wet, dry or superheated. But in many cases, there will be a loss of heat from it during its passage through the steam pipe from the boiler to the engine, tending to produce wetness. The use of wet steam in an engine or turbine is uneconomical, besides involving some risk. Hence, it is usual to endeavor to separate any water that may be present from the steam before the latter enters the engine. This is accomplished by the use of steam separator. Thus, the function of steam separator is to remove the entrained water particles from the steam conveyed to the steam engine or turbine. It is installed as close to the steam engine as possible on the main steam pipe from the boiler. According to the principle of operation, the steam separators are classified as first one impact or baffle type, second reverse current type, and third one centrifugal type. So figure shows baffle plate steam separator. The steam enters the flange A from here and flows down. In its passage, it strikes the baffles B. So these are baffles. As a result, it gets deflected, but water particles having greater density and greater inertia falls to the bottom of the separator. The drier steam discharges through the flange C. To see the level of water collected, a water gauge is provided. The water collected in the vessel is removed at intervals through the drain pipe D. The last accessory is known as steam trap. The function of a steam trap is to drain away automatically the condensed steam from the steam pipes, steam jackets and steam separators without permitting any steam to escape. The steam traps are classified as first one expansion or thermostatic type, second one bucket or float type. Here the figure shows an expansion steam trap. A hollow spring tube B, so this is hollow spring tube of nickel steel, contains a liquid which becomes a gas at temperatures above the lowest that of the steam is likely to have. The water enters at A, and being lower in temperature than a steam, it causes tube B to contracted and the valve is opened. Here this valve is open. When all the water is discharged and the steam enters the trap, the increased temperature converts the liquid in tube B into the gas. The curved tube tends to strengthen itself and consequently the valve V is closed. By adjusting screw S, the trap can be arranged to discharge either continuously or intermittently. The end C of the tube is held against the adjusting screw by the spring, one end of which presses against the lugs L fixed to the casing. So that is about the steam trap, which is used to trap the steam, condensed steam from the steam pipes, steam jackets and separators. We will stop here. We will continue with the same chapter, steam generators, in the next lecture. Thank you.